In the dimly lit bar, she noticed a foreigner standing among the crowd. This figure stood still, not dancing or swaying to the rhythm of the music, which was peculiar in itself. Most patrons were immersed in the joyous celebration, but this person stood alone, their head bowed. Pinay tried to dismiss the oddity and focused on the stage. However, an unsettling sensation crept over her. It felt as if someone's gaze was fixated upon her, a piercing stare that sent shivers down her spine. Unable to ignore it any longer, she glanced in the direction from which she felt the gaze. Her heart skipped a beat as she saw the same foreigner, now turned to face her, their eyes locked onto hers. The strange foreigner's unwavering gaze was disconcerting, and Pinay felt a growing sense of unease. Though she couldn't fully comprehend the situation, she was convinced that it was far from ordinary. As the night progressed, so did the intensity of the encounter. A truly spine-tingling moment occurred when Pinay saw the foreigner standing by a nearby table, his gaze now directly fixed upon her. The sight sent chills down her spine. The foreigner looked pale, as though drained of life, a stark contrast to the energetic crowd around them. Even at the resort, Pinay still felt the weight of his presence and questioned how and why he had followed her from the pub. The ghostly figure's presence had left Pinay unnerved. She couldn't fathom why this entity had singled her out. As her anxiety grew, she attempted to act as though she didn't notice, following a whispered piece of advice she had received. Pretend you don't see him. Don't scream or yell. Treat him as if he were a piece of air, and he will stop paying attention to you. But in the heart of that unnerving night, Pinay couldn't be sure if this advice would be effective. She hadn't tried it before and wondered if such a tactic would work against an otherworldly presence. In a state of trepidation and confusion, she had to confront the entity that had seemingly followed her back to the hotel. While my sister and I slept soundly through the night, blissfully unaware of Pinay's ordeal, she was left to face a mystery alone. Her boyfriend slept soundly as well, undisturbed by the unfolding events. In the hours that followed, as Pinay wrapped up her day's activities, prepared for bed, and settled in for the night, she was not prepared for what would come next. That night, as Pinay was about to drift off to sleep, she suddenly heard 3 distinct knocks on the door of her room. Bang, bang, bang. Her first thought was that it might be me or perhaps my sister, coming to borrow something or check in. Pinay promptly rose to her feet and moved to open the door, expecting to find one of us on the other side. However, when she swung the door wide, there was nothing there, just an empty hallway. Still attempting to remain optimistic, Pinay considered that maybe it was the neighboring room, the sounds carrying through thin walls. She closed the door and made her way back to bed, determined to leave the mysterious knocking behind. However, as she was just about to reach her bed, the knocking returned, just as loud and persistent as before. Bang, bang, bang. Pinay's initial hope was crushed as she grappled with the reality of the situation. It was then that Pinay, in the solitude of her hotel room, began to feel that something was amiss. She grew suspicious of the eerie occurrences surrounding her, particularly the inexplicable knocking on her door. In response, she decided to use the peephole in her door to inspect the hallway. To her horror, an eye was peeping through the peephole from the other side. Pinay found herself once again sitting on her bed, reciting prayers to protect herself from the unknown. The room was dimly lit by the bathroom's soft glow, casting eerie shadows around the room. In the midst of her prayers, Pinay couldn't help but feel that someone else was already in the room with her. The room seemed to hold its breath as Pinay continued her prayers. She prayed fervently, her voice trembling as she recited verses she hoped would offer protection. But the presence in the room remained still, unfazed by her pleas. The apparition stood right in front of her and watched her with an intensity that sent a chill down her spine. Pinay's mind raced, searching for a way to rid herself of this haunting presence. She contemplated the use of crosses, garlic, and even contemplated giving alms to monks. But she was left in a state of profound uncertainty, as she pondered whether any of these measures would be effective against the relentless spirit. In a room that was supposed to provide solace and security, it had become a battleground between the living and the unknown. As the night grew darker and the hours passed slowly, Pinay began to lose hope. She couldn't break free from the ghostly apparition's chilling stare. She wished for the dawn to break, yearning for the ethereal entity to vanish and leave her in peace. And so, the third part of our hair-raising tale reaches its haunting climax. In the depths of a night filled with strange encounters and unexplainable phenomena, Pinay's courage and endurance would be pushed to their limits.